Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into the world of virtual assistants.
Ooh, virtual assistants.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about using one?
I mean, who hasn't these days, right?
Right, so many people are talking about them, but are they're cracked up to be?
That's what we're here to find out.
Exactly. We're using this article called Virtual Assistants, Boon or Bane for Businesses.
From blogwidow.com.
Yeah, that's the one. So we'll be looking at both the good and the bad, and,
All the juicy details.
exactly, to help you decide if a VA is right for you.
All right, let's get started.
Sounds good. So first off, what exactly is a virtual assistant?
Well, basically, it's a remote professional who provides services to businesses.
Oh, okay, so they don't have to be in the same location.
Nope, they can be anywhere in the world,
Hmm,
as long as they have an internet connection.
that's pretty cool. So what kinds of things can they actually do?
Oh, wow. A huge variety of tasks.
Like what?
Well, everything from, like, basic administrative stuff.
Like answering emails and scheduling?
Exactly. But also more specialized skills like marketing or even bookkeeping.
Wow, so you could really have a VA for almost anything.
Pretty much. It really depends on your needs as a business.
So it sounds like VAs can be pretty valuable, but
But are they worth the cost and the hassle?
exactly. What are some of the advantages of using a VA?
Well, one of the biggest ones is cost efficiency.
Because you're not paying for a full-time employee.
Right. You're only paying for the services you need.
That makes sense, especially for small businesses or solopreneurs.
Definitely. It can really help you keep your overhead low.
Plus, you're not tied to like a salary or benefits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another big advantage is flexibility.
Oh, yeah, you can scale up or down as needed.
Exactly. Need extra help for a big project? Hire a VA for a few weeks or months.
And if things slow down, you can just adjust their hours.
Yep. No long-term contracts or anything.
Now, that is super handy. Blogwidow.com also mentioned time saving as a major plus.
Oh, absolutely. Think of all the time you waste on those little admin tasks.
Emails, scheduling social media,
All that stuff. A VA can handle all of that for you.
and that frees you up to focus on.
The important things. Like growing your business and connecting with clients.
It sounds almost too good to be true, but I'm guessing there are some downsides too.
Of course. Every rose has its thorns.
So, what are some of the potential pitfalls of working with a VA,
Well, one thing to consider is communication barriers,
especially if you're working with someone in a different time zone?
or who speaks a different language.
Right. Things can get lost in translation pretty easily.
So clear communication is essential.
Definitely. And what about control?
Ah, yes, that can be a big one,
It's hard to let go sometimes.
especially when you're used to doing everything yourself.
And when you can't physically see what your VA is doing, it can be a little unnerving.
For sure. So building trust is super important.
And I imagine security is a concern too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're sharing sensitive information with someone you've never met,
That's a good point. You have to be extra careful about who you hire.
and what kind of security protocols they have in place.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the general pros and cons, but blogwidow.com also gets into some real-world examples.
Oh, yeah, those are always interesting.
They have one scenario about a solopreneur who's launching a new business.
And they're completely overwhelmed.
Right. Hiring a VA ends up being a total game changer for them.
They're able to offload all those time-consuming tasks and focus on the big picture.
That's a great example of how a VA can really make a difference.
Definitely. But they also have a cautionary tale.
Oh, yeah, the one where things go horribly wrong.
Exactly. A business owner hires a VA for a high-pressure project,
But there's miscommunication and missed deadlines.
and it ends up being a total disaster.
Ouch. So
Okay.
it's not all sunshine and roses?
Nope. You have to be realistic about the potential challenges.
So it sounds like finding the right VA is crucial.
Absolutely. It's not a decision to be made lightly.
Blogwidow.com actually lists some websites for finding VAs.
Oh, yeah, like Upwork, Fiverr, and a few others.
Those can be good places to start, but
You still need to do your research.
right, don't just hire the first person you see.
Exactly. Vetting your potential VAs is essential.
So are VAs ultimately worth the risk or not?
Well, it depends. It's a very personal decision.
There are definitely some things to consider,
But we'll dive into those in more detail in part 2.
so stay tuned for that.
We'll be back after a short break.
Welcome back to our deep dive on virtual assistants.
Glad to be back.
So before the break, we were talking about finding and vetting potential VAs, but how do you even know if a VA is right for you?
Ah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, because it's so trendy now. Everyone's talking about hiring VAs.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype.
Right. But it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Definitely not. It really depends on your individual needs and working style.
So how do you know if it's the right fit for you?
Well, I think the first step is to really assess your needs.
Like, what specifically are you hoping to gain from hiring a VA?
Exactly. What tasks are taking up too much of your time?
What are you not good at?
Or what do you just straight up hate doing?
Haha. Yeah, those are the tasks you want to delegate.
Right. So make a list of those things.
And then ask yourself, could someone else do these tasks effectively?
And would I be comfortable letting go of that control?
That's a big one for a lot of people.
It is. Some people are natural delegators.
And others like to have their hands in everything.
Exactly. So you need to be honest with yourself about your working style.
If you're a micromanager,
A VA might not be the best fit.
or it might just take some extra effort to adjust.
Right. Communication is key in any working relationship.
But especially when you're working remotely
Absolutely. So let's say you've done some soul searching.
and you've decided that a VA is right for you.
Where do you go from there?
Well, blogwidow.com mentions some platforms for finding VAs.
Oh, yeah, like Upwork and Fiverr.
But those can be a little overwhelming.
They can. So many profiles to sift through.
How do you even begin to narrow it down?
Well, first, make sure you have a crystal clear idea of your needs.
Like, what specific skills are you looking for?
Exactly. And what level of experience do you need?
Do you need someone in a particular time zone?
All of those things are important to consider.
Once you have a good grasp of what you need,
Then you can start using those filters.
the filters on those platforms can be really helpful.
They can. You can narrow it down by skills, by experience, by hourly rate.
And don't forget about client reviews.
Oh yeah, those are gold.
It's so helpful to see what other people have said about a particular VA.
Definitely, it gives you a much better sense of what they're like to work with.
Okay, so you've found a few potential candidates.
Now, it's time for the interview.
What are some key questions to ask during that initial screening?
Well, obviously you want to ask about their experience or their skills.
But it's also important to get a sense of their personality.
Absolutely.
Hmm?
Are they a good communicator? Are they organized? Are they proactive?
Those are all important qualities in a VA,
They are. You want someone who's going to be a good fit for your team.
even if it's just a virtual team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask some more personal questions too.
Like, what are their hobbies? What are their interests?
Those kinds of things can give you a better sense of who they are as a person.
And whether they'd be a good cultural fit for your business.
Right. It's all about finding the right match.
So let's talk about red flags.
What are some things to watch out for during the vetting process?
Well, one big red flag is poor communication.
If they're slow to respond to your emails or their answers are vague,
Well, it's not a good sign.
they're definitely not. You need someone who's going to be responsive and communicative.
What about overpromising?
Ah, yes. The classic, I can do anything VA.
It's tempting to go with someone who seems like they can handle everything.
But be realistic. No one can do everything well.
Right. It's better to find someone who's specialized in the areas you need help with.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for references.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Talking to their previous clients can give you valuable insights.
It can. You can learn a lot about their work ethic, their communication style, and their overall reliability.
So you found the perfect VA. You've clarified expectations and things are going smoothly, but inevitably there will be bumps in the road.
Oh, for sure. No working relationship is perfect.
How do you handle those moments of miscommunication or when things don't quite go according to plan?
Well, first of all, don't panic. It's important to stay calm and approach the situation with a solution-oriented mindset.
Easier said than done sometimes, but yeah, freaking out won't help anything.
Exactly. So take a deep breath and try to see it as an opportunity to improve your communication and your processes.
So it's all about communication and collaboration.
Absolutely. Clearly articulate the issue, listen to your VA's perspective, and work together to find a resolution.
And documentation is key too, right?
Oh yeah, having everything in writing can prevent a lot of misunderstandings.
Deadlines, communication protocols, revision processes.
All of that should be documented up front.
So everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. Okay, one last thing before we move on.
What's that?
What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about VAs?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people still see them as just glorified secretaries.
Oh yeah, like they're only good for answering phones and scheduling appointments.
Exactly. But that's so far from the truth.
It is. Many VAs are highly skilled professionals.
With expertise in specific areas like marketing or social media.
Or web design, or even financial management.
Right. They can be a valuable asset to any business.
Absolutely. So don't underestimate the power of a good VA.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground in this segment, from figuring out if a VA is right for you to navigating those inevitable challenges. But we're not done yet. In our final segment, we'll delve into some tips for successfully managing a VA and maximizing that all-important return on your investment. And we're back for our final segment on virtual assistants.
Time to tie it all together.
Yeah. We've talked about the ups and downs of working with VAs, how to find them, vet them.
Even some red flags to watch out for.
Now let's get into the actual management part.
How do we make this relationship really work?
Because it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Nope, definitely not. You need to be proactive and intentional about managing your VA.
So where do we start?
Well, communication's absolutely key.
I feel like we said that a lot already.
But it's worth repeating because it's that important.
Okay, so communication.
Exactly. Regular check-ins are essential.
Like weekly meetings or even just quick emails to touch base.
Right. It keeps everyone on the same page and helps prevent misunderstandings.
And it's not just about giving instructions.
No, it's also about providing feedback.
Both positive and constructive.
Exactly. Let your VA know what they're doing well.
And also what they could improve on.
Right. Remember, they're not mind readers.
So be specific with your feedback and be respectful.
Absolutely. Feedback is crucial for growth and development.
And it helps build a stronger working relationship.
For sure. Now, speaking of building a strong relationship.
Trust is a big part of that too, right?
Huge. You need to be able to trust your VA to do their job effectively.
And that can be hard when you're not working with them face to face.
It can be. But that's where clear expectations and documentation come in.
We've talked about that before, right?
We have. Having those agreements in place from the start.
About deadlines, communication protocols, revisions.
All of that stuff
Yeah.
really helps build that foundation of trust.
And it also helps prevent problems down the line.
Exactly. Now, another important aspect of managing a VA
Is respecting boundaries.
Oh, yes, definitely. It's easy to blur those lines when you're working remotely.
Like emailing them at all hours of the night.
Right. Or expecting them to be available 24/7.
That's not fair to either of you.
Nope. So be clear about your working hours.
And encourage your VA to do the same.
And set some ground rules for after-hours communication.
Like what constitutes an emergency?
Exactly. Now, one last thing I want to touch on.
What's that?
Measuring success.
How do you know if your VA partnership is actually working?
Well, there are a few key indicators.
Like what?
Well, first of all, are you getting more done?
Are you feeling less overwhelmed?
Are you able to focus on the tasks that really matter?
Those are all good signs.
They are. And also, is the quality of work meeting your expectations?
Is your VA meeting deadlines?
Are they proactive in taking initiative?
If so, then you've found a winner.
You have. A good VA can be a game changer for your business.
They can really free up your time and energy.
So you can focus on what you do best.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Any final words of wisdom?
what's the one piece of advice you'd give to someone considering a VA?
I'd say be prepared to invest the time and effort to find the right fit.
Because it's not just about hiring the first person you see on Upwork.
No, it's about finding someone who truly understands your needs.
And who you can build a strong and trusting relationship with.
Exactly. It's a partnership, and it takes work from both sides.
But if you do it right,
It can be incredibly rewarding.
couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, that's it for our deep dive into the world of virtual assistants.
We hope you found it helpful.
Whether you're already working with a VA or just thinking about it,
We hope this has given you some valuable insights.
and maybe even inspired you to take the leap.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.